Hey guys, we're here from Radiant Clean. Today we're doing a tile roof here in Fishhawk. Doing a soft washing of the roof. It's a little sketchy because it's 2 stories. So there's not really an easy way to get to the second story, so we're using a tall ladder, but you can see the tiles are pretty dirty. We debated trying to climb up on the second story from down here, but if you've worked with tiles, you know that they're quite fragile, so it's really not conducive to climbing. If that was a asphalt shingle roof, it wouldn't be a big problem, but we also hesitate to put ladders on tile because they can slip super easy, and that tile's pretty slippery. So I may try to hit it from the ground as much as possible, or from the ladder. But our 12 volt system's not hugely powerful, so I may be able to hit most of it from the ladder. The only problem is getting to places like in the front here where there's a peak, and those are kind of hard to reach. So I hesitate to go up on the second story just because those tiles are really slick and it's quite a fall. So we're going to see if we can get up there safely, though. If not, we'll try to hit it from the ground. Dante's going around right now and pre-wetting everything, so wetting down all the bushes, wetting down the grass. Then we put down some bleach neutralizer so that we can make sure that that runoff isn't killing too much. There's not a lot we can do because, as you can see, there's no gutters. So anything that runs off is going to run right off into the bushes and grass. So we try to mitigate that as much as possible by just wetting it really well, doing the bleach neutralizer, wetting while we're cleaning, and then wetting after as well, and maybe even another bleach neutralizer. So while Dante's getting everything sprayed down, I'm gonna see about getting up on the roof, and we're gonna go from there. See you guys later. All right, guys, we're up here on the roof. That was a little sketchy, but try to hit this from a distance as much as possible. probably need to do some touch up on this, but you can see I'm trying not to go too near the edge because this stuff is really slippery up here.
this a little bit easier. And I still have to hit this from the ladder just because it's tough to get to the underside of these tiles, the flat part. And there are these little dark spots right at the edges, but I'll try to get as much of it as I can from up here so I don't have to move that layer around too much. This job's probably going to use a lot of bleach, tile roofs always do. I'll let you guys know how much bleach it was at the end of the project. It's a pretty full tank, it's almost at a completely full at 100, so it'll be easy to tell how much we used.
We're doing a pretty hot mix today. We're doing about 5%. These tiles are pretty dirty, so the only problem with that is that it uses a lot of SH, because you can see how much this runs off. I upped the surfactant to see if that would help it stick a little bit better, but as you guys can see, because I'm having to shoot this with a pointer, I'm not really controlling as much of the SH runoff as I typically like to. I like to let it run down on itself usually, but I'd rather waste a little SH and be more safe on this job than save a little money. So I probably underbid this job. I wasn't realizing how difficult it'd be to reach this roof, but I always have to weigh like not only the time that it takes, but also how difficult it is, how dangerous it is. You can see the dramatic color change there just between the what's been done and what hasn't. So. You always have to try to work these from a couple different angles if possible, just to be able to hit the spots that the runoff kind of doesn't hit. That's another reason why it takes more chemical to do these tiles.
Here's a good example of why we need to hit it from multiple directions. You can see we douse this really well on the first treatment, but where it runs off, it kind of goes over those nooks and crannies underneath the tiles. So we have to make sure we go through, not only get those under areas of the tiles, but sometimes one side might get hit more than another, so you see dark streaks on one side where the other side is good. So you have to look at it from all different angles to make sure that you're getting those. Again, it's one of the reasons why tile roofs are tricky. It's why they take a lot more chemical. But you can see I waited to walk on this until the algae was dead, because that algae is super slippery. And ironically, even when it's wet with surfactant and SH, it's not as slippery as with the algae. And you can see right there on that side of those tiles, even though we doused that side of the roof really well, there's still one side that needs it from a different angle. You can see I'm erring on the side of caution by not getting too close to the edge. I do not have a harness for this job, which in retrospect we probably should have some safety gear and harnesses for, especially for tile roofs. That's something that we will be looking at investing in for future roofs, but I'm erring on the side of safety by not getting too close to that edge because it is quite a fall. So I'm making sure that I have a good foothold and staying away from the edge and spraying as much as I can from a distance. Again, it's probably using more chemical. I know for a fact it's using more chemical, but again, I'd rather be safe and not take a two-story fall than to get too close or to save money, by trying to use less chemical. Speaking of chemical, at the end of the video, I'll show you how much we used for this job. That will include both the roof and we end up doing the driveway and sidewalk for them too. But I'm just going to continue going through and touching up here. You see we got 90+% of the tiles hit really well. We didn't know that these actually had a color to them when we started the job. I thought they were just the typical orange terracotta. That was my assumption, but you can see they actually have some like reds and greens and that kind of stuff. It's actually a very colorful roof that looks black. So, but you can see right what I'm doing here is I'm getting all those little spots. So touch those up. Those would continue to lighten and die off, but we just want to make sure we're getting it thoroughly. Normally I'm getting a lot closer to the tiles so I can hit the different angles and stuff, but again, just trying to be careful here. But you can see how it washes down over and leaves those dark edges, and we want to make sure we get all those.
Hey Dante, I'm over on the other side now.
You'll notice when I'm walking on these tiles, not only am I not trying to slip, but we always make sure we're putting weight on the bottom edge of that tile where they overlap. And then I'm always trying to distribute it between 2 tiles if possible. That underneath that lip there where they overlap is actually strip of supportive wood that they nail it to, or that they attach them to. So it has more support right there. If you step in the middle, it will break these. They're very fragile, and it is possible to break them. So you have to make sure you're stepping in the right spot and that you're ideally distributing your weight across 2 tiles instead of just putting it all in one. Obviously, it gets a little tricky, and you just have to make sure that you're careful that your footing is good before you step. Alright, here we're starting on the roof to the lanai. It's only 1 story, so it's much more manageable than the big 2-story drop-off. But as you will see here in a little bit, I almost bited on this one. This roof was super, super dirty. That algae was really thick, and it's extremely slippery. It's like walking on ice. So this is why it helps to take caution and potentially have harnesses, which we don't currently have right now. But this is a little scary, but 1 single story would hurt for sure, but definitely not as bad as if it was a 2-story. Oh, and we've had some comments on this in the past. No, I'm not spraying Dante with bleach as we're doing this. He's not getting hit with it. Not that hasn't happened in the past accidentally, but he's actually well back from the roof and spraying down water on the plants and grass and stuff. It's just the perspective makes it look like he's a lot closer than he actually is. He's actually quite some distance from the actual drip line there, so he's not getting hit with bleach.
It's like walking on ice. They got it in, do that up there.
Yeah. You okay?
Yeah, you know. I might have pulled something, but
Alright, as you can see, I didn't fall. Came pretty close, sliding down the edge. It's another good reason for safety protection and safety wear. Amazingly, didn't break any tiles when I fell. I just kind of slid down them. They were so slick. But that's why you have to be careful on tile. They are extremely slippery when they're covered in algae. This is another reason why we don't typically do metal roofs, because metal is even worse. Metal is so slick, especially if it's wet at all, especially if you're using surfactant. So if you're cleaning roofs, take care. I don't recommend this is something that you do as DIY. It is dangerous. Our team is fully insured, so be careful. Alright, now we're going to be working on just the last bit of front section of roof that's right over the garage and entryway. Did the back over the lanai. Again, this is just a little story, so it's not too bad, but it's pretty dirty. You can see some of that is already looking clean. That's from the runoff from the upper roof. So that has a nice effect of doing some of the work for us, but You can see how it's real dirty down by the edges and stuff, so we're going to have to hit this as well. And you can see it's looking significantly cleaner already. Just again doing some touch up on the decorative overlap on the top, and on the where it doesn't touch the tiles where it's overlapping there. So we're trying to hit that. And once we get that, just a little bit of touch up, and we can move on to the driveway and sidewalk and stuff.
Alright guys, we're wrapping it up on this roof job. We did a driveway for them and the sidewalks as well. Sold them on that. You can see that roof actually has colors in it, which you didn't see before. So that is good. Looking a lot better. It is a little tricky getting up on those tile roofs when they're dirty. They're actually slipperier when they have that algae on them than they are when you're spraying them, which is ironic. But you can see we got the black stains and stuff off. Might touch that up a little bit. It's looking a lot better. Take extra precaution with the bushes, obviously, because there's no gutters in this place. So I'm gonna wrap up the hoses and we'll call this one a day. We'll talk to you guys later. Oh, I forgot that I was going to mention how much bleach we actually use. So this was almost full when we did it, when we started, so we used about 50 or 60 gallons. So I would say we used about 50 gallons on there. So a lot of bleach. It was really dirty. All right, guys, we'll catch you on the next one. Bye.